Greetings to you all. Greetings to you saints, and I bid you shalom. I trust that you're doing well. Of course, this is the day that Yahweh has made, and we ought to rejoice and to be glad in it. As I welcome you to this broadcast, please indicate to me whether you hear me clearly and you also see me clearly. I bid you shalom. And I honestly trust that you're doing well. I'm on a mission, working, but speaking. This is a very, very extremely important night. Because what are the chances? What's the possibility of it being a coincidence that, thank you that you're hearing me clearly. Please invite someone, let them know we're here. You know what we do as saints, you can share with them, let them know what's happening. I bid you shalom. And of course, shalom speaks of that peace that Yahweh gives to us. Yahweh gives us a peace. And that peace comes almost as an instruction to you. Whenever they encountered the likes of an angel of Yahweh's, or they encountered the Israeli people, the Hebrew people, they encountered Yeshua in certain forms, they would say, do not be afraid, or be at peace, or shalom is the term in Hebrew, which means stop being afraid. Be at peace. And if ever there were a time in the nation of Guyana, the saints in this land need to hear this is now. Be at peace. Being at peace doesn't mean that war doesn't exist around you. It is an internal state of being, where it does not matter what happens to you, you know that it is well. That is why I say to saints that it's always well. For me, it is always well. It doesn't matter what comes my way. For I'm certain, I'm assured, and I'm confident that there is nothing that can happen to me. Nothing that can happen to me or to a saint that falls beyond or be outside of the will of my Father. Nothing. There is no enemy. There is no friend. There is no foe. There is no one who has the authority to do anything or cause to happen to me. Anything that Yahweh does not permit. And that is what I consider to be trust and confidence in the God of Israel. I am unashamed. I proclaim the gospel of Yeshua the Messiah anywhere, at any time, and profess my faith under any circumstance, for in Him I live and move and have my existence. As you can see from this broadcast, what are the chances of my speaking to you about prophets? And I told you all, there's a reason why I keep saying this to you. There's a reason why I keep saying to you in Guyana that you must pay attention as a saint to prophecy at this time. Now, while I'm teaching you that, while we on this, what they call series of teachings, here pops up someone, a prophet. What are the chances I told you all that from Africa, or in Africa, is where you find the bedrock of corruption among prophets? It's a breeding ground for falsehood. Now what will happen tonight is that as an apostle of the Lord Yeshua, I will teach you, I'll present to you doctrine, which happens to be spiritual teachings, that should give you a sensing and an understanding as to why you don't play around when it comes to the word of prophecy. And why prophecy is not like multivitamins. You don't pop one a day in your mouth. And here's my challenge to anyone, because I know that they watch, I know they see what I do, I know that the prophets in Guyana who've connections, so I know that, and I've heard from Africa that they watch me, I've got calls that they watch me, and they see what I have to say. So let me tell you this tonight, right here. What I'm about to share with you from what you call the Word, if you are unprepared to live by it, you are not going to have 1 minute of my attention. And no saint must take you seriously if you're afraid of living by what is written. Prophets are people who have foresight, meaning they tell forth the future. But if you're not careful, you become a psychic, because you do not pay attention to who's telling you to say what. But the other thing to a prophet is that they have insight, which is that they know the mind of Yahweh, and they speak the same. So it's not just about telling what will happen in the future. It is, do you know the mind, or whether you know the mind of Yahweh, and you speak by that mind. What is interesting is that though many of you know that I have prophesied about David Granger's demise, and you saw it come to pass with absolute accuracy. I've prophesied about Irfan Ali's situation, and it has happened with absolute accuracy. I said to him, and there's someone who has found it, I said, and you all know I said it, that Irfan will be embarrassed on an international scale. Don't say I didn't tell you that. And you saw what's happening. The shame that Ali has faced, no other president of this country has had to endure that embarrassment. No other. But here's the catch. Here's the trick, as you want to call it, some you want to call it. Why have I not told you who will win the elections, who wouldn't win? Let's have a very intense conversation as an apostle to those of you who are saints. Why would I know about what happened to Granger? Told it 2 years before it happened, and it happened to absolute perfection. Why would I know what happened to Irfan Ali? And it happened to absolute perfection. How would I know that what would have happened to those who were not preaching according to what is right and deceiving people, and they would have endured the rage of heaven, and they passed away as it was prophesied? I prophesied exactly where the funeral will be held, and it happened. Why would I not come and tell you now who would win the election? You know why? Because we know partially, and we prophesy partially, meaning that if Yahweh doesn't tell me to say it, there is no creature, including that which I am a part of in form of For Guyana movement. I would not come and tell you because I'm in For Guyana movement, and because I am the prime ministerial candidate of this movement, oh, For Guyana movement will win. Unless he tells me what to say, I will not say it. Because what I'm going to read to you tonight is what I'm aware of, and you need to understand that. I would never, as an apostle of Yeshua, who's been given the grace at times and the unction, you call it, a divine ability to prophesy, I will never say to people or prophesy what he has not told me to say. How many people we know called prophets in this country or other places will tell you what I've just said to you? Now, they will try to say it, but they would say it in manners and say, oh, unless I hear the Lord, I wouldn't speak. No. There's a difference. There's a difference, because I'm going to show you what they would not tell you. Moshe, before he was taken away, before he was, Yahweh took him up to this mountain and told him, climb this mountain, look at the land, and you'll die or you'll appear. Before Yahweh told Moshe that, for being disobedient, he said to Moshe to speak to Israel this word, Deuteronomy 18. This Bible was never divided, or scriptures or the text was never divided by the writers of it, original writers. When it began to be published, John Gutenberg being the first one to publish anything, any literature called a Bible or compilation, later on they began to divide them, have divisions of chapters and verses, and I always say it's for referencing. Now, before we dive into this text, I think it's important for me to speak something to you all. And I went to a town called Anna Regina about 2 days ago. And while standing in this town called Anna Regina on the Essequibo coast, I saw a statue of Damon, one who was called a slave. He wasn't born one, because of where he came from. He was classified as one. And Damon was known for being a revolutionist, a rebel. In today's society, the man would have been known as one who, according to the law, incited violence. And I want you to understand carefully what people have done to control and subdue nations. We don't believe in anarchy. We don't believe that everybody rules himself lest he become a wild, reckless people. But there are those who, when our forefathers as African descendants and Hebrew people, well, I have got multiple ethnicities in me, and that's a fact. My grandmother, or my great-grand, as they would call her, was the 100% Akwayo. 100%. She spoke the language. My grandmother used to talk to me in the language and stuff like that, and teach us sing some of the songs. And she'd be chanting and dancing in the kitchen to show us what her mother used to do. My father's side, I have 100% Indian from my great-grandmother. My grandfather's Portuguese. Well, he's European. I don't know Portuguese. Portugal is in Europe. So I don't know. Guyana doesn't have 6 races. Guyana has 5. Portuguese are Europeans because Portugal is found in Europe. But it's important for you to take note of something. When I looked at this statue of Damon, and it ties to what I'm teaching tonight. The Africans, the Hebrew people, when we were grabbed from where we were, some of us fled in the loins of our fathers. I need to understand how I speak to you. While we were within our fathers' loins, they were fleeing, and they were attacked and so on. And they were captured and dragged here. Dragged to other parts of the world in a trade of human beings called a slave trade. It's a trade of people. They're the only people who were stripped of their religious convictions and belief. They tried to beat it out of us. They killed it out of us. Do you hear me? So, when the indentured servants came, they came with their culture. When the Hebrew man came, he was killed for trying to practice his. His name was changed. Hence London, James. The indentured servants who were of Chinese origin or from the east of India, they kept Jagdeo, Manik Chand. They kept those. Nandalal. Their first names. They had the culture by the pandit would give them a name, apparently, I don't know if it still remains. Parsmati, Savitri. You kept what you came with. Both of our names were taken. It was gone. Which is why when I'm teaching from the scripture, I deliberately and with greatest understanding of my responsibility help you or try to help you and cause you to see that names are critical. Names are very important. For even in slavery, names identified who owned you. Hence Yahweh said he would put his name on us. How can you call me something else if my God has put his name on us? Those who took the scriptures, the manuscripts, and sought to translate it, King James himself said that he did it unto the queen. And it was an act for the queen. It was a rebellious act where we're not going to follow that. We're going to create a text for us. And in that text for us, they created an environment for European or Eurocentric convictions to develop even in the African and the Hebrew man. Don't become uncomfortable with the truth. Deal with it. For he who loves you always tells you the truth. One who hates you makes you adopt a lie. I would never do that. For our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. How could it be possible for other religions to maintain Krishna, Hanuman, Shiva, Rama, and so many others, Buddha? They could maintain theirs. Allah, Muhammad, they could maintain theirs. But when it came down to this one set of people, you had to lose Yahweh. You had to lose Yeshua. Lose it. And take what we tell you as the name of your God. And the name we give you is an English name. Have you not heard that before? Why? What makes us so special that we could not retain the name on our lips and be free? Why? What is it about us that we didn't have the liberty to maintain? I'll tell you why. Because the captives, the captors, those who captured slaves, captured princes, captured princesses, captured rulers, captured warriors, used the manuscripts that we live by and took it to be this. They didn't take the Bhagavad Gita. They didn't take the Quran. They took what we, our fathers, studied and taught in Hebrew land. Don't be uncomfortable. Let's deal with the truth. For he who loves you will always tell you the truth. But if they adopted these manuscripts, and if they adopted the texts that didn't bear their name, then we had a problem. Because if we find that from Hebrew land we came, and our name, Yehuda, is found in the text, but your name, John King, is not found in the text, how can you tell us that you're superior to us? Are you supposed to rule over us? When you try to live right according to what we lived all along. That is why I don't mind how hated I am. I will never deny who I know I am to please any human being. For those who know their God shall be strong. Meaning what? You not bow to deception. You not cower to things that pressure you into believing sweet, nice words that sound good, but they're not true. I said all that to say to you that names are everything. So when you hear me in this text, carefully speaking to people's names, is because it is everything. And I don't despise you. I will inform you because names are everything. Even in basic politics, names are everything. For if we are to lead this country, and my sister, as I call her in this fight, Amanza Walton Nazir, is to appoint an ambassador. That ambassador goes in context, in the name of the president. That's why I carry a credential. Now, how could that person go to Brazil in the name of Amanza? I don't speak English, so call it something else. No. How much more should we not value the God of all gods, the King of kings, Lord of lords? So Yahweh, Deuteronomy 18:15. Sorry, Pastor Mel, I didn't tell you where I'm preaching from. Forgive me. Have mercy on me. Deuteronomy 18:15. Yahweh told Moshe. Yahweh told Moshe. Let's go to 14, please. No. Go to 10 for me. Go to 9. Deuteronomy 18:9. That's when I like division in the scripture. When you enter the land Yahweh your God is giving you. Deuteronomy 18:9. When you enter into the land, when you enter into this land, Yahweh your God is giving you. You are not to learn how to follow the abominable practices of those nations. Saints do not follow abominable practices. Please write that. Write that as a law in your heart. Saints do not follow abominable practices. We don't do it. No nation sets the trend for saints. Saints do not follow abominable practices. It's written. There must not be found among you anyone who makes his son or daughter pass through fire. That's unto Molesh. There was a practice where people would sacrifice their children unto a false god. And Yahweh said, you must not, when you go here, follow their behavior and sacrifice your children for wealth or for anything to please any god. Yet in this day and age, we're hearing about people who sacrifice children for money. He disallowed it. You must not make your son or daughter pass through fire, or they must not be found among you a diviner, a soothsayer, an enchanter, a sorcerer, a spellcaster, a consulter of ghosts or spirits, a necromancer. You don't go talking dead and conjuring up dead to hear anything. For whoever does these things is detestable to Yahweh. And because of these abominations, Yahweh your God is driving them out ahead of you. When a saint follows the righteous way, the wicked could never overpower us. When a saint follows the righteous way, the wicked could never overpower us. We are called kings and priests. The wicked doesn't. That's why you cannot find any wicked politician or whoever else it is making me afraid. Because the wicked cannot rule over me. I don't mind who you are. Yahweh has promised from my forefathers, from our forefathers, that he, not us, he is driving them out ahead of me. Before I get to them, he's driven them out. Before you arrive to them, they're already defeated. Before you encounter them, their defeat has already been spoken of. Why are you afraid of them? Before you get in their faces, they have already been defeated by the God of Israel. He knows his people. That's why you hear me say, it doesn't matter where I am. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil. For he, Yahweh, is with me. And I mean that. You must be wholehearted, because I want you to get the context of this text I'm about to read to you is written. You must be wholehearted with Yahweh your God. Not partially, not half-hearted. You must be wholehearted. Entirely. This is your heart, by the way. This here. This is your heart. You live the deepest part. You live the deepest part of your human conviction. Not just a thought. You must love Yahweh with all your heart. What does that mean? The deepest conviction you can have as a person is what is your heart. The real you, the core of who you are is your heart. And he said that you must be wholehearted with Yahweh your God. For these nations, verse 14, which you about to dispossess, listen to soothsayers and diviners. So because they listen to what's false, you will overcome them. But you, Yahweh your God, does not allow you to do this. Yahweh, verse 15, will raise up for you a prophet like me from among yourselves. From your own kinsmen, you are to pay attention to him. Just as you were assembled at Horeb and requested Yahweh your God, don't let me hear the voice of Yahweh my God anymore, or let me see this great fire again. What's this? If I do, I will die. And you always been church on, but you see the glory of God, and you see this. That's what I'll tell you that. Israel, when they experienced Yahweh at the Mount of Horeb, they said, we don't want to see it again. We don't want to see it again, because if we see it again, we get dead. Sorry, I'm speaking like Guyanese. Israel, when they encountered just a manifestation of his power and a revealing of the shaking and quaking, they said, we don't want to have an encounter with you again. Talk to us through prophets, but don't show us your power. Do not demonstrate through nature what you are. Because when you begin to demonstrate to us through nature what you are and how much power you possess, we'll die. So don't do it, please. Imagine that his people back then didn't want to see anything like his power being demonstrated through nature. They said, we don't want to see that. We don't wish to see because we know what happened to us. We get to this prophet from Africa. On that occasion, said Moshe, Yahweh said to me, they're right with what they're saying. They're right, because if they see this again, they'll die. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their kinsmen. I will put my words in his mouth, and he will tell them everything I order him. Not what they want to hear. This prophet will tell them everything that I, Yahweh, order him to say. Not what you feel like. Not what you think will make people like you. Not what you paid some money to say. Verse 19. Whoever doesn't listen to my words, which he will speak in my name, will have to account for himself to me. Is there not a day coming when whatever Yeshua said it, he said, I didn't come to condemn you. But if you don't listen to me, or you do not believe in me, you're condemned already. I didn't say that. That's written in Yochanan 3. His name is never John, his name is Yochanan. And you understand what he said to you, that you don't just go pick people's name up and give it you a European context, an European image. Yochanan 3, Yeshua said to them, I did not come to condemn the world. People just preach that part. He said, no, for if you don't believe in me, the prophet, you are condemned already. So I don't have to condemn you if you don't believe, said Yeshua. That's what he's saying. Whoever doesn't listen to him, or to my words which he will speak, Yahweh said, you have to give account for yourself. For in whose name will he speak it? Not in the name he chooses to say. Not in any other name. Not in any name you could call him. It's in one name. He said, whoever doesn't listen to my words, which he will speak in my name, in my authority, and that authority has to come with a name attached to it. Not a name you choose. He said, that person will have to give account for me, to me for himself. Verse 20 is where we'll dwell, because you now have a backdrop to the conversation. But if a prophet, oh Lord, let's go to Africa now. But if a prophet presumptuously speaks a word in my name, which I didn't order him to say. Now you need to hear this carefully, church, because it's twofold. Let's start with the first one. If a prophet presumptuously speaks a word, in other words, you just get up and decide that because of this environment, you have to say something. Since it's an election period and people want to know who will win, I'll be the prophet to tell them. Let's go to the text and see what happened. He said, if you believe that you could just get up and in my name, so you use the right name because Yahweh is his name, and then you attach power to that name and say, well, Yahweh has told me to say. That's how prophets prophesy. Yahweh has told me to tell you. Or prophets say, for the word of Yahweh came to me. That's how they wrote the text, and it's the reason. So they have the name of the source, and then they say what has been said through that source. You have the name of the source, then what has been said through that source. So Yahweh told Moshe, let them go out there, and let them come and tell you that I said to say something I didn't tell them to say. So the name is right. The name is correct. But they come in to tell you that I told you something. I told them something I didn't say. Let's see what this God of heaven does. Let's see. Or, so the first one is if you come in his name and you're talking and he didn't tell you to say anything. Okay. Next is if he speaks in the name of other gods. Watch it now. Watch it. Twofold. So one, you have the right name. Next, you have the names of other gods on your lips. On that day, said Yeshua, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, didn't we cast out demons in your name? Didn't we perform these great, not ordinary miracles in your name? Didn't we prophesy in your name? He said that. And he said, not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. For on that day when I'm judging you all, many will come and tell me, not one or two of them will say it, many, even a Hebrew person tells you many is not 2 or 3 or 10 or 100. Many will come to say to me, Lord, Lord. So they're saying, he said, not everybody says that. You will say to me, as if I don't know what I'm talking about. Didn't we cast out devils in your name? Didn't we cast out demons in your name? Didn't I prophesy to nations in your name? And it came to pass because they wouldn't come to tell him if it didn't happen. Didn't I perform great miracles in your name? And Yeshua the Messiah said, I'll tell them, get away from me. Get away. I don't know you. You're a worker of lawlessness. You're a law unto yourself, because you could tell me I call you what you want. I call you what I want. Because I saw miracles in another name, so I could call you what I want. Focus, people. Focus. Truth is not confined to one thing. Truth is all-encompassing. You cannot love truth and do not have it applied to everything about your life. And that is why truth liberates Yahweh's people. For every part of a saint's life is free, even with chains on your hands. That's why the Hebrew people told Yeshua we were never slaves, though they were in Egypt for 400 years. You know why? Because when you know truth, you are free even with chains on your hands. Somebody please type that for those hiding in the bushes. When you are free, indeed, when you know truth, you are free even with chains on your hands. When you know the truth, you are free even with chains on your hands. Do you know the truth? Chains prevent freedom to move, not freedom to know. A chain can bind you in a location, but it could never remove you from knowing truth. So I'll get to the prophecy, but I want to hear something here tonight. So if the prophet speaks in another name or other names, which he would do as well, listen to what Yahweh said. That prophet must die. Now here's the challenge I said to you before. I said to you that any prophet, including this one from Africa, if you come to me as an apostle of Yeshua, I present you with word, with doctrine, and that's how you can handle me. I don't present with emotions and with sensationalism. I come to you with what is written. Man doesn't live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yahweh. So you're not going to make me subscribe to some emotion here. We can deal with what it is. What is? Yahweh said that you must die if as a prophet you come telling people what I didn't tell you to say, or you came to people in another name. If you are unprepared to subject yourself to that judgment, don't speak to me because you're not a prophet who's true your faults. Any true prophet would not be afraid of this warning or afraid of this judgment, because you wouldn't. Why would you be afraid? If you know that you're true, why would you tell me, no, that's Old Testament? No. We don't do that. Prophecy was never done away with. Yeshua came to fulfill the law and the prophets. The law has been completed. The prophets still prophesy. So don't run here. Don't hide and run. Because what Zechariah the prophet saw hasn't been fulfilled. They come in mountains crying and say, oh my God, we killed you. That hasn't been fulfilled yet. So we're not going to play this game here. If you are true, you will not be afraid to be killed or Yahweh slaughters you because you lied. Are you prepared to handle that kind of pressure? Are you? No. As an apostle of Yeshua the Messiah, the word of truth, the principles of truth must govern my engagement with the saints and with the false. Because Shaul said that it wasn't in church. He said, listen, we come to pull down strongholds and to bind certain things and to bring into captivity every thought. Leave this demon. The demons are under pressure tonight, and I know what will happen. Every high thing, and that's how you know the source of certain prophecies, that seek to exalt itself against the knowledge of Yahweh. And what would he say? And when all of your obedience has been fulfilled, we can deal with them on the outside. When a prophet comes to a nation or attempts to speak to a nation, that prophet must understand that your speech has attached to it life and death. Not payment or non-payment. Life and death. Not how much money you get or how much money you don't get, or who's bid higher for your prophecy or who didn't bid as high for your prophecy. It carries with it life and death. Let me remind you all of something. During the COVID-19 talk, TB Joshua popped up. You remember that? And was prophesying contrary to what you heard. And I said to you all that this will take 2 years. From February, I said it, that for 2 years this plague that they talk about will last. It can't go beyond 2 years. Because it's a natural cycle. And after 2 years, the world will reopen. I said that to you. TB Joshua said by 27th of March, this will be finished. He went to the mountain to lay in June and said, listen, I'm not leaving here until this thing is over, because rain will come wash it out. And I prophesied and said, you will not lie to Yahweh's people and lie to people in general and make money and get away with this. Because this is the same what I said to TB Joshua. And he died in June, I think it would have been. You remember that? Do you remember that? That's what I'm saying. When I talk, I tell you, record what I say. And check my page and see what I've said. I'm not the kind of prophet to tell you no phones here. Bring out your phone, record what I've said. Keep a record of what I've said. Because this is what governs me. When that unction or the spiritual propensity to prophesy or a spiritual impartation to speak comes upon me, I don't play with this. Where's TB Joshua? Since I'm a false prophet, where's TB Joshua now? Where is he? And when did he die? What's crazy, they couldn't even figure out how this man just died. It was the most unexpected thing. He just died. Just like that, just died. So here's one who popped up. And he said before that he wanted to have an interview. Now, I have never heard this. Where a prophet wants an interview. He was almost like a press conference. Let me show you how you destroy people. Because people send them, that's when you're on the right track. So Kobe Singh said, tell him about the massacre done by you. Let's be y'all. Why apostrophe ALL? Because you already done Sec Irfan. So I'll give you the other part. Burnham is Burnham, not Burnham. Burnham. Now here's what you tell me, Kobe Singh. Type here, and there's one chance to give you then block you, if you don't. How many people died in the Wisdom Massacre? Massacre by definition means multiple deaths. You, Kobe Singh, Kobe the dog, will type how many people died in the Wisdom Massacre. If you don't, I'll block you and me show up on my page again. I'll give you one chance. One. Why am I doing this? To teach saints how to confront wickedness. You don't run from wickedness. You confront them, though they're trolls paid by PPP. They will deal with me. Come out and talk now, since you want to do it. See, look at the response. Suck yourself. See that? What does that tell you? Now, how many prophets can do what I've did? Exactly. Block. I don't normally block, but he gets blocked for being stupid. Since I told you. So he said, tell them about Wisdom Massacre. Okay, you tell me how many people died in it. Then I'll tell you about it. You know why I couldn't tell you? Because there are not even 3 named individuals. Not even 3 who were killed in Wisdom. What I could tell you about is the Sun Chapman Massacre, where 42 or 43 people were blown up in a launch. Most of them being African descendants. I could tell you about that. See how you deal with this? Exactly my point. That's how you deal with truth. So this prophet wanted to have a press conference. The prophet said that he would speak certain things and then, you know, he wanted to explain what he meant. So the prophet from Africa said that he saw Guyana's elections. He saw Guyana's elections. Good. He saw Guyana's elections. And in these elections, there's one who had the anointing. I'm not even going to play with that. I'll show you myself in a minute. Somebody had the anointing to be the president. Now, you see, as saints, you need to know truth, and truth will make you free. I told you that way. What does it mean to have the anointing? So, back in the day, the prophets not Claudette Singh. The prophets were sent with oil, not Claudette Singh. And the prophet, like with David, would pour oil on the head. In the back of church, yeah. Pour the oil. So when Shemuel went to Yesi, and he said, listen, I'm here to anoint a king. Bring your sons. He brought 6 of them. But the oil wasn't flowing. The oil couldn't flow. So you're trying to point your always say, no, not that one, no. Muscular, no, I don't want him. No. So 6 sons came, but the oil wasn't flowing. So the prophet Shemuel, which means Yahweh or God hears, Yahweh, Shem, the name hears, El. So Shem means to hear, and El is God. And that's from his experience as a boy, when he was hearing and he ran back to the priest, and the priest said, no, I didn't call him. He heard Shemuel, and he ran again. The priest said, I didn't call him. And then the priest figured out, Eli said, oh, this must be Yahweh speaking. So the next time he hears, say, here am I. So that's the prophet who grew up, and now he went to anoint the king. And so he asked the father, Yesi, do you have any other son? He said, there's one there in the field somewhere, man. So he didn't consider him to be a son of his because of the history surrounding David's birth. Hence David said, in sin and my mother can save me, because of the relationship he had with his father, Yesi. He said, bring him. When David came, the oil poured on his head. What would this prophet from Africa saying to you? That Aubrey Norton, he didn't call him, I'm telling you what he's saying. Aubrey Norton has the oil to be the president. Ali doesn't have the oil, but Ali will be the president. Now I want you to tell me, listen to me. I just told you all. The prophet Shemuel went to Yesi's house. When he got to Yesi's house, he said, listen, I came to anoint the king. I was sent here, so I'll do what I'm told to do, because my life depends on this. Yesi brought 6 sons, and the oil wouldn't pour. And he said, is there not another? He said, yeah, man, there's a little one behind there, but he said, bring him. So the boy David, not David, David was brought to the prophet. When the prophet Shemuel did this, the oil began to run. This prophet from Africa says that the oil is on Aubrey Norton to be the president, but he wouldn't be the president. Now, any saint on this broadcast, or anyone who called Christian in this broadcast, should already understand what I'm telling you. Here is a case where, unlike what happened in scriptural principles, there's a man in Guyana who's anointed to be the president, but he can't be the president. So Yahweh's anointing is a waste of time then. Mind you, that a prophet in Guyana named Orlando Valdez or Valquez went to Aubrey along with the other preachers and poured oil on Aubrey's head. And when he said, I'm going to pour oil because I don't want the oil on the eye, David had oil poured, oil in his eye, but Aubrey oil on his eye. I wonder why, but that's another story. So Orlando went to Aubrey in Freedom House, not Freedom House, Congress Place, and put oil on Aubrey and said, you are anointed to be president. Here's another prophet saying that Aubrey has the anointing, but he wouldn't be president. So what happens here? Yahweh is not the author of confusion. So who's right? Because Aubrey got an oil problem, and it was an ExxonMobil. Aubrey has an oil problem because Aubrey has oil from one prophet who says you'll be president, and another prophet says you got the oil but you won't be president. So Aubrey have an ExxonMobil problem, and this is not gas ashore. This is a serious problem. Which one will it be? So either way we win. Either way, Aubrey wins, because if he wins, it's Orlando's prophecy come to pass. If he doesn't win, then this other prophecy come to pass. But I want you to tell me, how could a prophet say that Yahweh, no, he didn't say Yahweh, he lucky he didn't say Yahweh. How could a prophet say that Aubrey has the oil to be president, but he would not be president? You name one king in Israel who was ever given the oil and wasn't king. Name one, and I'll never preach again. I will never preach again if you name one king who had oil poured on his head by a prophet, and he was not king. What are we doing? How can people respect the church if this nonsense happens among y'all? This is wrong. It doesn't make any sense. You don't seek for relevance in an environment that's charged like this. What you seek to do is to hear. If you know him, you don't have to do this trickery. Because I refuse to say who will win. Now, if you see me come in front of here, and I tell you, I'll keep your phone on, record this. It has been revealed to me by Yahweh that this will happen. My life depends on what I've said. Let me play it for you, please. Let me see with this one.
Which is the country of Republic of Guyana. I want to emphatically share this. I know who is the next president of Guyana. I posted on my Facebook page that I'm going to announce. From the day I posted it, I discovered a threat began to come to my phone that I should keep silent. In fact, one sent a message. I don't know who that person is. He said that I should keep silent if I don't want to be messed up. The reason why I want to speak today is because I have so much followership in that country. The reason why I kept quiet is not because of whosoever, because I know the people who are threatening that, made that threat. I know you're watching me. I didn't keep quiet because of your threat. I only kept quiet for a while because of my followership. Sir, I have so much followership of Afro-Guyanese. I have followership of Indian Guyanese. And I discovered that they belong to the two major parties, which is the ruling government and the major opposition. The election is going to end between the PPP and the major opposition, APIU. Among them, one is the next president. Why I kept quiet is that my prophecy will influence the election. You know why? Guyana is not that much a big country like Nigeria. I think Guyana is less than 1 million or thereabouts.
Hear this. Because he heard it and some didn't hear it. He said that his prophecy will influence the next election. I want you to hear me. Not his prophecy will announce the outcome of it, but it will influence it. Hear me. How can a prophet's prophecy influence elections? Prophets don't speak to influence. In other words, he's saying, if he said PPP will win, people are going to vote for the PPP. If he says PNC will win, they'll go vote for PNC. So this prophecy is not about information. It's about influence. Why hasn't the church written about this man's behavior? What are we really doing? And I'll tell you why I'm so grateful that Yahweh has caused me to be, not me, Yahweh has caused me to be involved. Because if Yahweh didn't put me, I wouldn't do it. There's nobody made me do this if he didn't say to do it. Why would Yahweh put me in this environment here? To be able to be sitting as a prime ministerial candidate for Forward Guyana movement and be able to give you spiritual direction. I hope Guyanese understand what's happening here. I'm sitting here and I'm giving you spiritual direction from the scriptures of Yahweh about something. How many other candidates can do this as prime minister or presidential candidate? You name one other one who can do this. And this is not boasting in myself. I'm just telling you how safe you are knowing the truth. Because once you want to make this a spiritual conversation, you will have to deal with me. We can have policy conversations. But when you want my apostolic hat to kick in, you come to me with anything spiritual and want to talk about this. We can have a conversation here now. Prophets do not influence people's vote. They inform of the outcome. So he has PPP supporters and he has APNU supporters. That's what he's saying. And it's based on the ethnicity. Don't miss what he's saying here. So this prophet from Africa, who has fellowship, as he said, in Guyana, following in Guyana, he knows that Indians support the PPP and Africans support PNC. So you're prophesying that there's division in our nation and they vote according to race. Okay, no problem. Then you're saying that here, like with Granger, this one who said he knew that Granger would win too, you know. And where's Granger now? Don't think I forget. So now he knows, he's aware of the outcome of this situation here. And so he wanted to have a conversation about this. But I want you all to hear this fella, man. So he's going to, if he prophesies, he would influence how people vote. Really? Okay, let's continue.
With the kind of fellowship I have, once I pronounce who I've seen, there are thousands of votes that will go to whoever I said that the Lord showed me.
Hear
That's
that.
the reason why I kept quiet.
Hear him.
But they say by this week you are entering. I'm going to grant an official interview. But before I say what I want to say, let me make sure you have this understanding. One person will be declared a president. But the main person that have the oil of the leadership is not the person that will be declared. The person that will be declared, let me make this clear, I'm going to grant an interview by next week and I will tell you who shall be declared. But anywhere that threat is coming from, I'm suspecting somewhere.
Did you hear him? He's going to grant an interview. So this prophet has to have a platform. He's going to grant an interview. Mind you, when he grants this interview, he told y'all that the one who has the oil will not win. So he said it, that Aubrey, he said it next week, that's why he wanted an interview. He didn't get the interview though. So he's now saying, listen, Aubrey will win, has the oil to win, but he won't win. Because there's a wall, there's a fence. And this fence is preventing Aubrey from winning. On the other side of the fence is Edgel. This fence is GCOM. This fence is the problem. Because this fence is going to be used to make Ali the winner. But what happened to the oil? What has become of the oil? If you say that you see oil, I'm about to pour this water on my business, not oil. If you say that you see oil, let me lean. If you see oil on this man's head, and this is the man who's anointed to win, the oil represents the presence of, you're lucky with this so I can't make noise. The oil represents the presence or the spirit of Yahweh. How could somebody who has the spirit of Yahweh lose to one who is a wicked demon? When Yahweh said, I give you the oil to win. So the demons, the devils, the 19 fraud charges one has a better anointing than Aubrey. Since I remind you, what are of the question, what is the possibility of my teaching you for the past 2 or 3 weeks about prophets, Yirmiyahu, and how prophets function, since the conference, teaching about prophets and warning about prophets, and then suddenly this one comes up here. Guyana, where I am, the elections which I'm a part of, has suddenly had a word, and he wants an interview to tell you all about who will win. So what was the interviewer supposed to ask him? And when did natural men understand the things of Yahweh so that the interviewer could make you explain anything spiritual? When Yahweh told me to tell David Granger, if you don't do it with Jagdio, You'll have the toughest time Guyana's ever seen in election. You'll have it. Why did Granger have the experience? Why did he have it? Why did he say I need a press conference to be called and I need to be interviewed by Travis Chase? Oh boy. I need to interview Travis so I could tell Guyana what happened and Travis needs to ask me. Why didn't I ask for a stage to talk? What are the chances that I will tell you that Africa is the bedrock of the false prophets, is the nest, I use that word, is the den, I told you that. This is the spawning ground. I told y'all that this is where the falsehood comes from. It infiltrates. This one, Sheridan Murray from the PvP, who sees the prophet, he has an African tongue. Boy, he's killed. This fellow from Linden. Sheridan can't talk English, normal Guyanese dialect, or the Queen's language or whatever. Sheridan cannot prophesy speaking like me. Sheridan has got, when he wants to prophesy, he has this here. My brother. Him in the spirit. Guyana, you need to hear what me say. Sheridan cannot speak as a normal Guyanese. Sheridan has to put on an African twang, an African tone, African dialect. For his prophecy doesn't... Now, before he got this African thing, he used to prophesy according to him. You don't make these things up. Father, 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 I come to you today. Father, what is wrong with you all? What are we really doing? 55% of this nation, in the census of 2000, I think 12, somewhere around there, identified as Christian. 55% of this population identifies as Christian. It means then that the church in this nation has the strongest voice in an election period. The church has got indigenous Guyanese, Indian Guyanese, African Guyanese, Chinese, mixed Guyanese. The church, all mainly African, Indian, and natives. What is wrong with your voice? You account for 55% of the votes in this country, potentially. And who you want to lead you? Who would lead you? Who would lead you? So this is why my presence makes so many political people uncomfortable. Because now you're seeing a man who knows truth, who's not afraid to tell truth in your face. This is trouble. This is painful for many people. Because you don't have Edgel here. You don't have a Bounty Jaglio here. You don't have a liar here who can't speak against unrighteousness. When Adrian was murdered, Edgel couldn't talk. You're a bishop and you can't speak about a murdered Guyanese child. When Nandlal didn't say get Nurse King out of prison, there was no terrorist, you couldn't speak for a defense. Now when this boy go and interview Travis and say listen was a lie, he ain't go to jail, he's not a terrorist. When Baksh, Junior Baksh, could talk to Travis and say it was all a lie because he was on record talking, he's not a terrorist. But Nurse King, who talk in private, not interview somebody, she's a terrorist. She lost her job. See, Floyd Ben, I knew it. See that? One name Floyd Ben came here. What is Yahweh saying to you about this election? See, that's the trap I'm talking about. And those are prophets coming here now. There's a pastor coming here. I want to see what I'm dealing with here. Why do you think he said that? What is Yahweh telling you? Because it's PNC. What's Yahweh telling you? You see the trap? So now I would be, this fellow here say, oh, Yahweh told me. No, 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 no. You don't get to tempt Yahweh. You don't do that. And you know the danger you're playing with right here. For what he's saying to me is what I'm telling you now. And maybe you should listen to this part before you type. What are you doing about the wickedness in your land? What are you saying? And who do you want to lead you in this country? What is he telling you? What man of leadership do you want? The contract leadership? Or righteous leadership? The kickback? You want the gangster granny leadership? You want something somebody's mother can be accused? Or auntie could be accused of coming to collect bribes or kickbacks on behalf of a son? What do you want? Do you want to be led by people who would condone the murder of a girl and cover it up? What do you want? We are at the crossroads in this nation of morality, of decency, of order, of law. You are at a crossroads here. What will you do about it? Will you bow to mammon, or will you stand for righteousness? Tell me that. Will you bow to mammon, or will you stand as a church for righteousness? If 55% of your population, you don't pray for righteous governance, you stand for righteous governance. So Floyd, I'm going to deal with you tonight, because I know you, you know me. You don't pray for righteous governance, you stand for righteous governance. And there's a difference. Praying doesn't put righteous governance in office. You stand for it. So if there's unrighteousness in your land, the book records, Floyd, that can you speak to righteousness in silence? Read Psalm 150. You can't speak righteousness being quiet. And righteous governance comes from righteous people saying that we will stand in the nation and ensure that what is right is done here. You don't pray for it, you stand for it. So where there's unrighteousness, Yahweh said you must fight against the oppressor. Not pray against the oppressor. Fight against the oppressor. Stand up and fight. You have a woman in a manza standing up to men, and men praying in a closet. I'm giving you the word I have for you. The word is right here. Let the men come out and stand for righteousness. Speak righteously. Irfan Ali went into church. Irfan of all people. Sunday, today, if I'm not mistaken, or last week, speaking to people who voted for PPP. What do you stand for? When a man who said that Adriana was in the pool for 20 hours and she didn't come out stiff, that's a miracle in medicine. No rigor mortis, no rigor of her body. Her neck was limp, her hands could move, but he said she was there all along. He was told that. When this man refused to have any investigation that was thorough enough to hold those criminals accountable. When this man had the nerve to sit and watch a young nurse, a mother of two, a guardian of two others, all under 15, a child suckling on her breast. When the police came and wanted bulletin for her, you're a terrorist because you lied. Where were you all? What did you say publicly? 55% of this whole country are Christian. And yet we have problem with GCOM. And who should win, who shouldn't win? If you vote along the line of your faith, the PPP should never be in office. You write that in tablets of your heart, of your lip. Write it. I ask you again, how many other presidential or prime ministerial candidates you have around here could sit and teach you what I'm teaching you in the church, and you cannot tell me that I'm lying, and you cannot say what I'm saying is untrue? You cannot. None of y'all could say it. So what does that tell you? Am I your enemy? Because Yeshua asked the same question. Mind you, Yeshua the Messiah asked the same question. Look at this. Flurban said, I do that every day, and he can't come and pastoring. No. You need to do it publicly. You cannot speak in some building somewhere. That's how righteous people stand. You stand out. You don't stand in. Yeshua had no church to hide inside. I come out and talk. I'm not protected by walls of a building. Let's come out as men and stand and speak. I'm not being aggressive towards you here tonight, Floyd. You're a man, so you could handle me. Let's come out and stand. If the church in Guyana comes out to stand, you know what happens in this country? Huh? There are over, according to Claudia's calculation here, according to her maths, mathematics, there should be more than 350,000 Christians in this country. You think of what I just told you. Based on Claudia's math, let's work with our math. There should be at least 350,000 Christians. Who would you choose? What do you call righteous leadership? Ejil? You call Ejil a righteous leader? Tell me, please. Is Irfan a righteous leader? Because Irfan could go to your church and I can't. Imagine the disgrace that Irfan Ali could come into your churches and talk, but I can't do it. I who preach from the scripture can't come and talk, but Irfan could come to talk because Irfan is a nicer person. A Muslim is more welcome than I am. So I'm asking the church to tell me again, why would Junior Bach sit before a camera and tell Travis what he said? It's recorded. And he's not called a terrorist. He's not being arrested for terrorism when he lied about the president's mother. But, according to he said he lied. So if lying makes you a terrorist, what is Bach? But North could have been dragged to prison. And you had to fight to get bail for her. The others who languishing in jail now on remand, because an unjust magistrate said, no remand for you, no bail. You're all terrorists burning a tire on the road. Where is the church? Where is the church? If 10% of the church comes on the road, it will be 35,000 Guyanese on the road in Guyana. If 10% of the church comes out to stand for any righteous cause, there will be 35,000 Guyanese on the road right now. Where's the church? Come, y'all talk to me. Let's have I am not angry. I am passionate because I want the church to know the power you have. If 10% of the church comes out on the road tomorrow, we'll have 35,000 Guyanese on the road tomorrow. Y'all think of what I told you. You think what I'm telling you. Now you tell me which government can stop 35,000 people on the road in this country saying what is right is what we stand for. So who's failing the country? The politicians? Who is failing Guyana? Who should we say is a part of what we have to speak to get this thing right? Who? But when I saw 19 fraud charges, Ali, standing in a church, promising you all whatever he promised you, what does that tell you? Huh? What does the church stand for? What should the church stand for? What should the church pray about? Thank you for asking me. Floyd, you grow up, man. Don't get me upset tonight. Floyd questioned to me, why are you making church enemy? Are you serious? Do you understand what the problem is? I am telling you what the issue is. And you're saying, I told you what Yeshua said. Yeshua said to the people, is it because I tell the truth I'm now your enemy? You do the same thing. Yeshua the Messiah said to his own people, now I've told you the truth, I've become your enemy. You do the same thing. I am telling you that the church must stand because the church by population has the power. You say, I'm now your enemy. Are you thinking? Are you processing, Floyd, what you're saying to the people tonight? Because I just told you that the Messiah said to the people, now I've told you the truth, am I your enemy? I asked you the same question, and then you say, why are you making the church your enemy? I'm trying to help you. I am a saint in the kingdom of the Most High Yahweh. I am a part of the body of Yeshua the Messiah, his bride. Am I your enemy? Who is your enemy? The one who tells you to stand in righteousness and stand up for righteousness? The people in this country who told the church, all Guyana, listen, we want to be able to go into schools and tell 10-year-old boys that buggering one another is acceptable. And they must be protected when they do it. Where is the church's voice in that? You tell me, Floyd, and I'm your enemy? When I said that this is not going to be discussed. As a prime minister candidate, I am telling you all, this is not up for discussion. You're not coming to tell any children in our school, but sex between men and boys and girls at 10 years old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, or any year old. They're in school. Does that sound to you as if I am your enemy? Who is your enemy? What I fight, Floyd, Ben, is weakness. Where there's numbers to give you the most strength. I don't play with weak people. And you're going to understand from me as a man what Guyana needs. And that's how men will begin strength in this country. Men in this country will gain strength through leaders who stand strongly before them. And say, you're a man. Not, I just wanted to understand. No. Men must be masculine again. In our country. Not emasculated by Barrett and his foolishness. I don't hold on no man. Andrew, sit up. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Not here. Men in this country must be men again. There's no corner cutting with me in this. And the closer we get to the 1st of September, you're going to understand that Guyana must have men in here. We have an enemy in Venezuela. You're treating our boys like little girls. Defend your country. From Pacorama's peaks of power to quarantine Los Sands, your children pledge it faithful, Lord, to guard Guyana's land. Where are they? How they guard it if the little girls are around the place frightening people? Stop compromising with these people. You can't tell me it's okay for a finale to go into church and talk to you all about people voting. What nonsense is that? When Irfan could have liars, when Irfan could have critic, Michael Rodriguez, being given almost $1 billion in contract, and he didn't do his work, and he's not in jail, but he come and talk to y'all. When for years and years and years, a plant has Guyanese men, especially of African descent, in a jail, in a cell. And the church says, keep them in jail because they plant a plant. Are we okay? Are we all right? When those who smuggle gold and peddle cocaine are called Mr. Yes, sir. Yes, boss. The African man who plants a plant is a jailbird. But those who sell cocaine, those who have the mega plantations of the same plant, those who smuggle gold, those who smuggle diamonds, those who are involved in the most corrupt, murderous things are, yes, sir. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Yes. You have the church. You paint the church building. Yes, you'll be so thankful that God used to help us to paint our building. That's what you want in Guyana. Is that righteousness? Is that righteousness? We cannot help this nation if we don't understand that 55% of this country are Christian. Let that soak in your mind whole night, Floyd. And talk to your brothers. I am not your enemy. Let me tell you this as a man. I don't mind you coming because you talk man talk tonight. When I heard a little girl in Linden, let me see if I'm your enemy, Floyd. I don't want you to talk. Let's talk a man talk. I'm mad at you. So don't look at my face and think I'm upset. I'm passionate about the truth. I'm mad at you. Let me see if I'm your enemy. Now, I want you to tell me if I'm your enemy, Floyd, or the enemy of the church. I got word on my job now. I work in as a contractor, getting my work done. I got a phone call, a text from somebody, not the principal of the school, that an 8-year-old girl, I think she's 8, was fondled, or I call it sexually abused. Because if you go in a child face and rub up the body in the girl and lick her neck, that's abuse. A 51-year-old man, I found his age out afterwards, was bracing a little child into a fence and sexually assaulting this child by the school fence. I was at work in my truck. When I got that message, I drove straight to the school. And I said, let me see where it is. Then I got message because it was after school. I said, oh, this will happen? In my truck, me alone, down the road in the mines, hunting for this fella. Hear me? Remember who I am, right? Remember this person's always fighting the church. I got word that this girl, this child, is the daughter of an assistant pastor of one of the Assemblies of God brothers. I think assistant pastor, something like that. I got word. Now, Floyd, if I'm the enemy of the church, what will I do? You answer the question. I'll be honest before all these years tonight, Floyd, man. If I were the enemy of y'all, what would I have done? Oh, yes, so they don't like me. And they talk about me, so maybe it's their child, let the brothers go and deal with it. Isn't that what it would have done? I didn't even call any pastor. I didn't even call the father to come look for anybody. For me, you abuse a child, I will find you. The next day, we formed a search party and we went to find him. The next day, we formed a search party. The night, all day, all night, Conan could tell you, the highlighter, how much we were in the bush in the night with a man who chopped his father to death. We were in the bush hunting for him and the police didn't want to come. Am I your enemy, Floyd? Tell me if I'm your enemy. I didn't ask the men's fellowship of the church. I didn't tell the pastor he's sending men's fellowship to come and... No. Me put my life on the line, going over almost 1 mile of a jungle to look for that man in his territory. And when we found him, the man said that is very dangerous. He said this black place could kill you in a flash. He told us that. Conan could tell you what I said because Conan and I talked to the fellow. You saw the interview. I know you saw it. I am your enemy. When I put my life on the line without asking anyone to come to help me look for anybody, am I your enemy? Mind you, Floyd Ben, I didn't tell the girl's father, well, you see now, I found your daughter, I got a man who did it to your daughter, he's in the jail, you should come and preach on your suicide. I didn't do that, because it wasn't about that. It's not about that. There's a child. And I'm your enemy. When a pastor's daughter could call me and say, my parents don't have water, not from Yeshua's ministry or Yeshua's preaching, a pastor from Jesus' environment could call me, and I could go and stand up for them in the sun and say, these people got to get water in the house. I don't care what you tell me. Get water to the house. I'm your enemy? Am I your enemy? Oh, you hope not. No. You can't be a man enough to tell me the truth. You can't be a man enough and be humble enough in this broadcast. But people see what you're talking. Floyd Ben, people see just what you're talking here. People see your response to me. So let's decide which one of us is disingenuous. Let's decide who's being disingenuous on this broadcast because they can see what you're saying to me. You don't want to address these facts. I get more calls from Christian people than anybody else. And I go to fight for them more than anybody else. Because they're not my enemy. They're not my enemy. What I am intolerant of, Floyd Ben, is leadership without representation. I don't tolerate that at any level, be it in the church, the world, the mosque, or anywhere. Because you heard me say to Muslims, Imams, where are y'all? Am I the enemy? You heard me tell pundits, how could you see rape and don't talk? Am I the enemy? So because I tell all religious leaders in this country, you need to stand up for people you lead. You can't tell me people pay you money every month and you can't even defend them on the road. How is that right? It is wrong. And Floyd, I'll tell you this, and you know I'm telling you the truth. If I hear tonight that your grandchild is molested by a man, before you go, I'll find him. You know me, and you know I'm telling you the truth. Before you, I ain't got time to go to police and talk. I don't have time for all that. When I heard about Adriana Young Floyd, they were witnesses to tell you. When I heard that she left with some man somewhere, I could have been in jail. I tell you all that. I tell Hicken that. He could have got me in trouble because I was going to find this Orlando fellow. And I live in Linden. I was going to find this Orlando creature. You got an 11-year-old girl in your car and people can't find her? Me! So when the police lied about Adriana, I could have been in jail because if I found this person, it wouldn't have been a nice thing. This is not about being an enemy. You name 2 other pastors, name 2 other preachers who are your friends who do what I do. Not for self-glory, not for gain. I don't ask somebody for any money. I don't ask for some award somewhere. Because I believe with all of my heart that children are to be protected, not Christian children, children in general. They belong to the state. Which one of us is more dangerous, Floyd? Not between me and you. The one who fights for righteousness and justice, or the one who's quiet about it, against injustice? Tell me the truth. Which one is more dangerous to Guyana in terms of preachers? One who goes out and fights for justice, or one who's quiet when there's injustice? Who is more dangerous? Let the audience answer. Because this is how Yeshua, by the way, Yeshua had interaction with people, so you all understand this. Yeshua or Messiah, read Yochanan 6, his name is not John, Yochanan 6, 7, 8, all those sections, you see Yeshua was back and forth with his people. Tell me, when Yeshua went by the temple and he saw people selling turtle doves and all that, what did he do? Did he go and pray? Or did he beat them with a cord and run them out of the church? Why did he beat them running from the temple? Why did he do that? Huh? Why didn't he say, well, you know, it's not my business, after all, I'm going to pray to the Father and ask him for them to stop? This man who molested this girl told me, and it's on my page again, the man said that this place where you all went to look for me is dangerous. He said that they leave the bacteria, if it touches skin, your skin, your skin could be eaten. This fella told me in Conan that your life was in danger in this place when you come looking for me. And we went twice. Brothers went, Double G, I could call their names, hunting for this man. A brother from the same church went with us the first day. Because it's not about who like who. There's a child. We can't function like this in this country, brother. My point is simple. There is, before our eyes, a very wicked set of people. And here's a prophet in Africa saying that Aubrey has the anointing to be in charge of the country, but he wouldn't get it because the anointing on Aubrey head is a waste of time. Irfan will be leader. Now what if none of them should be leader? What happens? What happens to this prophet? If neither Aubrey nor Irfan leads Guyana come September 2nd, what happens to this prophet here? I just want you to tell me that. According to Yahweh's order, what happens to him? Just tell me that information, please. According to Yahweh's rule, what should happen to this fella here who jumped to prophesy presumptuously? We're not going to play with this. I am telling you that if the churches in Guyana all get together and say the injustice must stop, we're not going to tolerate anybody going in our face to be so disrespectful. Damla was accused of raping a 16-year-old child, among others. And the people, we took him and put him back on to the candidates list to be a potential vice president, member of parliament, minister, whatever it is, when he never spent a day in court to answer his crime or potential crime. You know what? The church, if the church says we're not going to tolerate this, and 10%, the tithe number, comes out, you'll have about 35,000 Guyanese on the road. Think about that, Floyd. You think the PP could handle 35,000 church people on the road saying justice, 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 justice for 4 days? For 4 days. Not 5, not 10, just 4 days or 2. Do you know what happened in this country? Huh? When 20 children were burnt alive in Mahdia, I asked the question, Imams, what happened? Pandits, what happened? Christians, what happened? Floyd, what happened to y'all? How could you be quiet when 20 children were burned alive and nobody went to jail? And I'm the enemy? When I went to protest about these things, I am an enemy because I'm fighting the church. So I should be nice to y'all. I should be as nice as possible, because if you're quiet, the imams are quiet, the pandits are quiet. A pandit was accused of raping a 13-year-old girl, then publishing her images, selling it, and he got $100,000 bail and $30,000 for the crime of publishing pornography. Well, Nurse King Lewis was put in jail for lying, and I must be quiet. Huh? Listen, church. Let me speak directly to the pastors in this country. I called, even with Aubrey Norton, I said, when you see the PVP spending our money to go and attack Guyanese overseas, finally the judge had to talk you about that. I said, let's get together. Let's stop the fighting. Let's unite to get our country at these wicked people's hand. I'm telling you all the same thing. When you see we get the PP out of there and the dust settles, we could have doctrinal issues. I don't have any problem with that, because I will not accept what you say. Unless you can prove to me from the scripture you're saying is right, I'm not going to accept what you say. And that's just a fact. But let us just unite and be a voice to fix this foolishness. That's what I'm telling you. So can you accept that? Can you accept that, dear brothers at Floyd? Let us at this time get together. Bring me in any forum and let's talk. Let's talk straight up, man to man. Like me, you talking here, let's talk like that. Face to face. Let's talk. Because you have a bigger problem. How could a man who stands up for you all be your enemy? Huh? How? You have an apostle, my brother Bissoon, walking the roads of this country, Floyd, shouting to his lungs limit. We have to get rid of the PPP. This man is talking to Guyanese. Guyanese, we can't have racism. This is an Indian brother now. Guyanese, we cannot live like this. We can't live under these people. They have to fix. This man is going to the marketplace like Yochanan the Baptizer, Yochanan the Mercer, talking to his people. We can't do this. Ahead of us. What the hell do y'all want? He preaches Yeshua the Messiah, and he's in the road like Yochanan the Mercer. Come on, Guyana. We can't live like this. Is he an enemy? Huh? When he saw the inhumane condition on which people are living in Region 2, Venezuelans are here of Guyanese origin, in an open shed, doing everything, male and female, newborn babies in an open shed. He went live right away and began to cry against injustice. Is he an enemy? Huh? Let us have a talk, Floyd. Let's end this. Let's talk. Let's set the forum before election comes. Let's have a conversation as men. We have to fix this problem. The man who's defending you cannot be your enemy. And the man whose party is, you know it, they are guilty beyond repair of corruption, murder, criminal behaviors. He could come into a church and talk. Because you get a pass through, whoever it is, some contract. Is that a deal now? Where you get contracts through Edge or wherever it is, and nobody could talk? Let's have a conversation that's real. And it will be that we have to understand that when an enemy is against your nation, your children, especially your children, don't play with them. Any government that could tell me that Adriana was in a pool for 20 hours, don't play with them. Because they kill your children too, or whatever they have to do. Whatever they have to do, they'll do it to you and your family and say this is justifiable. Just understand that. Let's have the conversation. I am man, and that's how much man I am, and you could decide whether you want to live like me or somebody who's afraid of you, or anybody. I could come into, you could have the whole culture center, whatever you want, and I will come and stand before you, and let's have a conversation. Let's talk. We don't have to agree, but let's talk. And when we agree that, listen, we have a problem that we have to solve, which is that there are criminal entities in this country who are running it. And the church has the highest number of people. The most numerous population is the church. So the church must rule Guyana. In other words, the church must have the loudest voice, because by population we're the loudest people. That's a fact. And anybody could be uncomfortable, but that's just the truth. But what do you find? What you find in me is that I'm saying to you all that be it Hindu, Muslim, atheist, no theist, whatever theist you are, you're Guyanese. And you have a right to survive in this space. Not like what it did to Baby Skello. Or Baby Skello, you go to jail because you talk about Mother Lash. And he never said Lash, me, which is her name. So if you want to be technical, he didn't call any God's name. But that's another story. And he's in jail for blasphemy. It is that in the last 100 years, our Guyanese will never charge for anything called blasphemy, although we want independent. But just get a point. This judge, this magistrate invoked a law that I never even thought would be invoked in this country. Blasphemy against deity. What is wrong with you? Huh? But at the same time, Vibes Cartel could talk about Jesus or the girl better than Jesus. Her vagina, he didn't say vagina, better than Jesus. And the ERC couldn't ban that song. And did you play the song? You're supposed to be in jail, by the way. If you want to follow Baby Skello's experience. The PPP could take a PPP flag and drape Damon in Essequibo. And that had to require fighting from people. The PPP could go to the 1823 monument and desecrate it in George. Dig up, build, stand wherever it is. We don't care. Break it down, because after all, Africans don't matter. And I'm saying to you all, if we can agree that there's a problem that's bigger than our argument, then maybe we have somewhere to go. With that said, let us examine what this prophet is saying. That his prophecy could influence the election, not inform us about the election. And then he came back the next week and said that Ali will win, will be declared the winner, but Obi has the oil to be the winner. I don't understand how Yahweh's oil is weaker than Ali's. When in the PP there's a man who's on phone talking to a little boy about committing buggery with him. He's a man who's a minister. What are we doing? This matters more to you all, me, when I talk to you, when I stand against these things. Huh? Come on, man. Come on. So, Floyd, I'm happy that you finally agreed that we should have a conversation. So you arrange it. I'll go wherever you all want. Wherever you say, I'll go. Whatever you all request, I'll do in reference to conversation. Let's talk. I would not apologize for speaking the truth. I would never do it. I would not compromise my faith. I would never do it. But what I will do is, in the capacity that I stand, I will converse with you about what and how the Christian body should be the voice in a land, because if you have such a large number, then you should have a large voice. That's called democracy. Not the only voice, but you must have a voice. So you're not going to Christianize Guyana. For every man has the right to practice his religion, including Rastafarians. But what you must have is an understanding that your numbers control what happens in your country. Somebody could come and try to force some law down your throat if you don't agree with it, because the church has a voice. And the church should defend the cause of the poor and the needy. I thank you all, saints. I thank you so much for spending this much time with me. What I consider to be very important time, critical time. I didn't expect to be this long, but it's warranted, for a lot is on the line. Much love. Much love. Much love to you all. My hands are extended to any church, any organization, anybody. And if you want to bring Edgel, bring him in that forum and deal with him for y'all. And tell him what he is. Let y'all hear what he is. But let's talk. Shalom. Much love. And blessings to all of you. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you so much. My father has spoken. And my father called it righteous indignation. I'm not mad at you all. I'm mad at what happens in this country. It is wrong and it has to be fixed. Thank you so much, Daddy. Love you. Bye-bye.